Welcome to Lesson 3 of your exploration of the magical styles. Today's style in question is the Stimulus magic, also known as Afflatus magic. This one is an inherent type G magic, whose main domain is the stimulation of senses and population control via that stimulation. Inherent magic is a type of magic you have to be born with, but it is also somewhat inheritable. This type of magic is not as common as one may think it is, but is also common enough to have some families specifically cultivating these sorts of mages and then selling them to the highest bidder. I could name you some, but that's probably not really as important. The only thing that's really important here is to note that, yes, selling is not a euphemism. It is literal. After the previous lessons, you should have probably get by now that human lives are much less valued in the magical world. As for type G, this refers to the concept in magical theory known as GD theory. First formulated by Kliment Smolatic in 1154, this theory proposes that all magical styles can only deviate 3 or 4 times from their original intent, after which any deviation either becomes impossible or the deviation becomes a new style of magic. Now, I personally wouldn't want to take away the bread of our favorite teacher of magical theory, but I figured that this requires a bit more imaginative explanation for some people to get. Let's say that we have invented a style of magic that can create cow milk. Very useful for our industrialized society. This would be considered a unique style of magic. Now, with years of studying this type of magic, we can develop a new style of magic that would be able to create other types of cow milk. Curdled milk, whey, yogurt, maybe even cheese. This style of magic would be considered as a subsidiary type of magic to the one that merely creates cow milk. Now, let's say some vegans acquired this style of magic, and after decades worth of research, they have developed a style of magic that would allow us to summon plant-based milks. The thing about developing subs magic is that a lot of it stems from human culture and psychology. People generally believe that plant-based milk is milk, so steps required to create cow milk can be applied to here as well. We only need to figure out how exactly. Then, what if some farmers decided that cow milk is good at all, but they like goat milk? And so they created a sub-style that can generate not only goat milk, but pretty much milk of any mammal. Now we have exactly 3 subsidiary styles of magic, all stemming from the sole unique style of magic. And for many styles of magic, this is where any and all possible developments of new subsidiary styles holds forever. Remember that magic is the ability to follow rules that are above nature. And one of these important rules is that styles of magic can only deviate 3 times, or G times if we use Cyrillic numerals. Some styles of magic have a limit of 4 subs. These are called type D magic. But, I hear you ask, how do we know which style of magic is subsidiary and which is unique? Well, very simple. Returning to our imaginary example, every subsidiary style of magic ultimately is able to create cow milk. That's how we can trace unique magic. If, let's say, someone invents a type of magic that can create unlimited powdered milk, well, the principles used are the same as for creating cow milk, but this person will not be able to summon it whatsoever. There will be a mental block preventing you from doing that. That's how we know that this magic is not a subsidiary one, and depending on how anal the internal rules for this style are, either this will become its own unique type of magic, or the person who invented it will be the only person in the world able to do that, and this magic will die with him. That's the reason why battle magic is a separate class of magic, by the way. It hosts all of these styles that are ultimately deviant. But okay, enough magical theory, I ain't getting paid for that. Let's talk about stimulus magic. The history of stimulus magic is very simple. Some fuckers tried emulating domination magic, and this is the result. The unique style of magic has kinda been lost and never used, which is also kinda understandable since the main feature of this magic is the stimulation of senses. It has been proven that without a talent for domination magic, the best way to achieve similar effects is by utilizing humanity's inherent desire to create art. Thus, the subsidiaries of stimulus magic were created: siren magic, word rhythmics, and paint magic. All of them work in a similar manner. What's different is the medium they use. Sirens use their voice to control people's hearts. If you ever listened to a piece of music or just felt something deep in your soul, that's siren's magic working its way into your consciousness. Similarly, poets write their magic into paper in the form of books, poems, and other lyrical stuff. Painters imbue magic into their paintings, sculptures, and other forms of visual art. As you can probably tell, these styles of magic are strictly non-combat. Many young people think that, for example, sirens work like bards in D&D, where they can just sing songs and buff other party members, but no, weaknesses of domination magic apply here as well, so the only way this could buff a person is if the person buffed doesn't realize it, which kinda goes against the whole point of the magic, isn't it? But yes, stimulants are best and most utilized in creative ventures, movies, shows, pop music, etc. The main strength this magic has over its ancestor is that domination magic needs the user to be conscious or alive for its effects to work, while stimulus magic works even after the author died. Thus, the pieces of art they create are truly timeless and serve well for nationalist or political propaganda. As for the ways to counter this magic, Well, as I've said previously, the 4 rules of countering dominators still work here. Be paranoid, don't look at art, or if you have to look at it, look through a mirror. The problem with this is that unless you want to live under a rock, it's kinda hard to avoid this magic because it is literally everywhere around us. Every single piece of art that you like is made using this magic. Every book that is a mandatory reading in schools is filled with this magic. Hell, even this video will be edited by a painter. Thus, the best way to counter it is to view every piece of art ever created with disgust and disdain, and I hope you all realize how impossible and asinine that sounds. Well, and there's that for lesson 3. Now that we're already into the teaching process, what lessons would these be without homework? I'm going to ask you 3 questions based on the previous 2 lessons, and your task is to give answer to them. The questions do not have a definitive answer, and are designed primarily to stimulate your imagination. The first 3 people who will get the most correct answers will unlock a very special reward for everyone in the class. So, why do we need to hold our breath to cast magic? Would a piece of plywood protect you from a dominator? Is dominator's magic cancelled when they sleep? See you on the next lesson. The next topic is skin magic.